Caribbean's Icon of the Seas is an incredible cruise ship. It's the newest in the fleet, and being the newest, there are some ways that you can do it better, and I've got the top Icon of the Seas cruise tips up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and with Icon of the Seas being such an incredible new cruise ship, a lot of people want to know how to get the most out of their vacation. And I thought about the ways anyone could save time, money, and maybe even their sanity by embracing a few easy tips to have a better cruise on Icon of the Seas. It's a giant ship, but don't let it overwhelm you because there are some easy ways to make it all work. Number one, get to know the neighborhoods on board. Understanding the layout of Icon of the Seas is probably the first thing you should figure out. Icon borrows the neighborhood concept from the Oasis class cruise ships, but it's far from a copy and paste job. The layout is notably different, and you may find yourself early on trying to figure out which area has which venue. Hooked, for example, the specialty restaurant that serves New England style seafood, is in the Aquadome. The music hall is located below the Royal Promenade, and Surfside can be accessed from a few different decks. Neighborhoods serve two purposes. First, it provides an easy navigation aid, and second, it helps spread people out. At the risk of making a shameless plug, because I would never do that, but we have put together already an awesome walkthrough video tour of Icon of the Seas that you can watch so you can get a sense of where everything is before the cruise begins. While deck maps are also available online, I don't think they're quite as intuitive to understanding the layout and the flow of a ship as much as being able to visually see it, so check out our full video tour. Now, once you get on Icon of the Seas, it's a really good idea to walk around a lot on the first day so you can get your bearings. One thing you'll notice is how inviting each neighborhood is and how you might be drawn in immediately to one area and realize you have not made it to a different neighborhood yet. Royal Caribbean wanted the ship to offer something for everybody, and I found I would wander into one area and then hang out there way longer than I anticipated. You may find yourself drawn into a lounge, a pool, or an activity and spend more time there than you anticipated because it's just that endearing. Number two, on Icon of the Seas, the Royal Caribbean app can do a lot more. Royal Caribbean introduced new app features just for Icon of the Seas, so you really want to make sure you take advantage of them, and of course, be sure to download the app before you go on your cruise. Now, the Royal Caribbean app is free to use, and you can use it on board the ship even if you don't have a Wi-Fi package, so don't worry about that. In addition to the usual repertoire of useful functionality, the Royal Caribbean app has new features that you can use on Icon. Let's start with number one, express boarding. Guests who check in ahead of time and scan their documents in the app and do all the things you need to do for the check-in process can get to go in the express boarding line and really breeze through the cruise terminal in minutes. It's free to do that. All you need to do is make sure you go through every single step of the check-in process, including the health questionnaire in those last couple hours before the cruise begins. Make sure you use the app, not the website, and scan your passport. Don't enter the manual details. Number two, there's faster Wi-Fi access. Once on board, guests can connect directly to Wi-Fi and their internet plans through the app rather than having to go into the phone settings or dealing with the captive portal. Essentially, if you already pre-purchased Wi-Fi, the app is going to be smart enough to figure out that you already purchased it because it's tied to your stateroom and connect you automatically. Also, there's AI help within the Royal Caribbean app because guests can now get help from a chatbot or chat with a guest service agent through the app. The guest services team now has a virtual queuing system to schedule and manage guest visits. For dinner reservations, guests will actually receive push notifications when their tables are ready for main dining, which helps reduce the pre-dinner crowds. And the app also has easier photo purchases. Guests can view and purchase photos directly through the app instead of having to visit and crowd around kiosks. My next Icon of the Seas tip is to pre-book your shows whenever possible. Royal Caribbean allows guests to book tickets to their shows in the weeks leading up to their cruise, and this isn't just a good idea, it's a must-do. The hottest ticket on Icon is definitely going to be the top shows: Aqua Action, Wizard of Oz, and Starburst. Even the comedy shows are pretty tough to book as well. Theoretically, Royal Caribbean puts its tickets to book 30 days before the cruise from the Cruise Planner website. For at least the first few sailings, the cruise line has needed more time to get the reservations open, but let's assume by the time you go on it, they've got that down. Regardless of when they're available, you want to book your shows to ensure you get in easily. There will also be tickets made available on board the ship. There's a box office you can visit to get reservations on embarkation day, so that's a good backup option. But your first choice should be to reserve the shows right at 30 days before your cruise online. Also, if you don't get into the shows, well, make sure you arrive very early for the shows, be in the standby line. If you don't get a ticket, don't fret, it's not a big deal. You can still likely get into the show, but you're going to need to be an early bird. There's always going to be a standby line for each show, and the key is to get in the standby line early. I would recommend getting in the standby line at least 30 to 45 minutes before the listed start time to be able to be among the first to enter the theater once they admit standby line guests in. Even if you have a ticket, I'd still recommend getting to the show early. Seating is limited in many venues, especially the Aqua Theater. Remember, your ticket assures you of a seat, but not necessarily the best seat, so arrive early. Also, don't overlook the great included food choices. It's really tempting to book specialty restaurants, but the restaurants included in your cruise fare are really not that bad on Icon. Pearl Cafe has replaced Cafe Promenade, and it offers grab-and-go snacks 24 hours a day. It is a significant upgrade in terms of food quality and selection. Perhaps the best complimentary restaurant to come out of Royal Caribbean in at least a decade is the Aquadome Market. This is Royal Caribbean's first food hall, and it is really good. You have the choice of Greek, mac and cheese, crepes, Asian, or salads. It's all freshly made, and it's the kind of food you'll want to go back to more and more. Surfside might be the new neighborhood for young families, but don't skip the restaurants here. There are 2 included restaurants that serve up a lot of comfort foods, Surfside Bites and Surfside Eatery. And of course, you can also grab a slice of pizza at Sorrento's. My next tip about Icon of the Seas is there are so many outlets in many public venues. Whether you want to keep your laptop, iPhone, or any electronic device powered up, it's so much easier on Icon. There are so many more outlets in public venues than ever before. On older ships, it's a miracle if you can find a single electric outlet to use around the ship because ships were not designed with USB or 120 volt outlets in mind. Or on Icon, there are lots of outlets that you can use. As more people work remotely from cruise ships, thank you Starlink Internet by the way, there's more of a need to have power. Plus, sometimes you just want to keep your phone going because you use a lot of battery already listening to your music. Pearl Cafe in particular has a ton of outlets, as does the Overlook in the Aquadome. Most bars have plugs as well that you can use. Now, if you want to get an Icon and you haven't booked it yet, book your cruise early for the best possible price. Cruise prices are dynamic, but as rooms get booked up, inventory drops and prices go up. Demand for Icon of the Seas is so strong right now that you really should not expect a price drop. Your best strategy for getting a good price on Icon is to book early, like right now. The earlier you book, you can lock in the price. The cruise industry is experiencing unparalleled demand, and you'll see that in the prices. Icon is a premium ship with premium pricing, so booking early is your best plan rather than trying to wait for a last-minute deal. So there you have a look at some of the top tips to help you have an amazing cruise on Icon of the Seas. You know, it's a fantastic ship. I love going on this ship. It's definitely my favorite in the fleet. And if you take advantage of these tips, I really think you're going to have an amazing time on board. In fact, you might even have an advantage over a lot of other people. Let me know in the comments below if you've been on Icon, what is your top tip for the cruise? And if you have a question about Icon of the Seas, feel free to post it in our comments. Our community is fantastic at answering them. Thanks for watching. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.